Hey parents, what if we told you that experts have found a connection between the overuse of technology and teen anxiety? Now, have you ever been concerned about the impact of excessive screen time on your teen's mental health and development? If you've ever noticed your child struggling with anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, or you suspect that that phone or tablet might be playing a role, then this video is for you. Now, my name is Dr. Todd Williams. I'm a pediatric and prenatal chiropractor in Olathe, Kansas. So in today's digital age, it's nearly impossible to avoid screens altogether. But as parents, it's crucial that we understand the potential risks associated with too much technology use, especially for our kids. Now, in this video, we're going to explore the findings of psychologist Jonathan Haidt, who argues that the rise of smartphones and social media has led to a mental health crisis among young people. Now, we wanted to make this video for parents out there who want to make informed decisions about their child's technology use, knowing the statistics, so you can protect the mental well-being in an increasingly digital world that we live in. Now, we're going to dive into some research linking excessive screen time to increased rates of anxiety, depression, self-harm among all adolescents. And you'll learn about the concept from Jonathan Haidt of the great rewiring of childhood and discover practical strategies that we can use to set healthy boundaries around technology use in our families. So social media and technology are everywhere. It travels with us. It's used increasingly by everyone in the world. And it's where I'm speaking to you about this right now. But with teens, the numbers are alarming. A study found that teens who spend more than 3 hours per day on social media were more likely to report high levels of depressive symptoms compared to those who spent less than 30 minutes per day. Now, if you have a teenager or if you work in a school or you're around teenage age kids, we know that 3 hours per day is pretty common, if not well beyond that. And kids who spend under 30 minutes per day on their phone are becoming increasingly rare. So let's take a look at some statistics. Researchers have been tracking the effects of social media, and it's becoming a much more talked about issue lately, with psychologists like Jonathan Haidt coming out with articles about the rewiring of our kids' brains. And then most recently, the Surgeon General considering putting a warning about social media usage and the mental health effects that it has on kids and everybody in society. So whether it leads to that warning label or not, it still sets the same stage that it's becoming a talked about issue. Now, in The Great Rewiring of Childhood by Jonathan Haidt and the Teen Brain, he argues that the mass adoption of smartphones and social media has fundamentally altered the way that children grow up and interact with the world around them. Now, technology and social media was thought to bring our world together as people, connecting us to each other, but it's becoming more and more a reality that it's actually disconnecting us and separating us, especially with children, from their peers and their environment, which can then lead to anxiety. Now, the evidence is super clear. Since 2010, 2012, even well before COVID, the rates of mental health issues and anxiety have absolutely exploded. And they're directly tied to teens and young adults being literally tied to their phones and social media 24/7. Now, this is concerning because anxiety, depression, mental illness are all up over 100% since 2010. And some of those categories are up to as high as 150%. And this goes right along with a World Health Organization report in 2021 that the mental health of teenagers has worsened. And today, mental health is one of the leading causes of illness among adolescents. So we see it all over the place. Even in college students in 2023, American college students were polled about their anxiety. 37% reported feeling anxious always or most of the time. 31% feeling anxious half the time, which means there's only 1/3 of college students left that reported that they only feel anxiety some of the time or never at all. So we can see why all these reports are coming out recently about the dangers of social media and technology in kids. But what can we do about it? Does social media and tech do that's affecting our kids? Now, it's kind of a two-part problem. Excessive screen time pulls children away from in-person socializing, real-world experiences that are crucial for the healthy development of our brain and body. So they're missing out on key components that affects social and emotional development. And then they're exposed to the harmful and anxiety-inducing content of the internet, such as bullying, comparison to other people, and all sorts of content out there that are simply not age appropriate for our kids. Now, children need to experience challenges, setbacks. They need to build resilience. Just like a developing immune system needs to be exposed to germs and bacteria and viruses to get stronger, or our muscles need to be exposed to strain and exercise to get stronger, our kids need to face real life challenges with their friends, with their social situations, their emotional health, in order to learn proper coping, adapting, and resilience building strategies. Now, the constant exposure to these high stress situations in the virtual world, combined with missing out on time outdoors or with friends, getting moving, exercising, laughing, engaging, and so forth, it adds up to yet another layer of the perfect storm, leading to an overactive and an easily stimulated stress and anxiety center of the brain, like the amygdala, which is located in the temporal brain, and it's responsible for processing emotions. It's part of the limbic system, which also controls behavior, memory, stress, attention, and all those types of things. Now, technology is literally rewiring parts of the brain to gear it towards anxiety, ADHD, depression, and a lot of other things as well. So, in another study that they showed in 2023, not only are certain parts being rewired to be more stimulated, there's also parts of the brain that are becoming underactive or understimulated, as shown in research in 2023. The hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, which creates the calm, emotional regulating, good decision making, are also being underactive and understimulated on a regular basis lately. So what can we do? We're here to tell you that we can do lots of things, but we're not going to tell you how to parent your own children. We can give you some practical tips to help curb some of these statistics that we talked about, and that's about what we can try to instill in our kids in everyday life. One of these tips is to set clear boundaries around screen time. So research, like we talked about, is showing that over 3 hours of screen time is where we're seeing those statistics increase significantly with anxiety, stress, and depression. So what we try to do is obviously curb that down. Lower than 3 hours is a good starting point. Also, when to introduce technology. For parents with kids not yet using phones, no phone until 14, or no social media until 16, or just a few examples of parameters that we can kind of set as parents with our kids. Now, these two tips, especially if your kid is over the 3 hour point, already has a phone, it can kind of create a battle. So it's important to find time and a kind of a way to speak with your child about the reasoning behind the rules that we're talking about. And this can obviously be very difficult with kids. So if they already have a phone, maybe talking about how attention is our most valuable resource in life, and we're constantly having notifications disrupting and taking that attention away. Now, one way and one tip that we can tell our kids to do is to turn off every notification on their phone, besides maybe the 4 or 5 essential notifications, like an Uber, just to make sure you know your car's coming or when it's arrived, and other things like getting a text from your family members directly. But muting the large text groups, stopping notifications from news or social platforms can help regain our attention and curb some of the rewiring of the brain to constantly check our phones, which drains our attention and increases that screen time. So we also want to encourage our kids to go out and in-person socialize. Stay away from the offline activities. If we already have a kid that's already setting a pattern with technology and gaming and things like that, but finding something outside that they also like to do, that's a great place to start. Find something that excites them outside and try to integrate that more into the schedule. So obviously we need to figure out also how to monitor our child's online activity using parental controls at certain age-specific ranges when necessary. But it's also about fostering open communication with our kids about the challenges of navigating the digital world. And that's extremely important so that in case the case comes up where they're being bullied or other anxiety-provoking situations arise, that our kids are comfortable with coming to us with those situations. So this is an ongoing and an increasingly complicated issue due to how our world works and functions. So it's important to address it in some fashion due to the alarming nature of the statistics of anxiety and everything that's going on. So as parents, we have the power to shape our child's relationship with technology and protect their mental well-being. So by setting healthy boundaries and encouraging real world experiences and staying engaged in our child's lives, both online and off, we can help them navigate the challenges of growing up in the digital age. Now, most importantly, if you feel like your child or teen's anxiety or tech addiction has gone past the point of no return, and you can tell their nervous system is completely and entirely overwhelmed, overstimulated, and it's stuck on that sympathetic fight or flight anxiety mode all the time, and you'd like to learn more about, holistic options that can help reset your child's brain and nervous system, send us a direct message. You can always comment or send us a message and we can get back to you quickly there, and we can show you how chiropractic care has helped countless teens get out of this sympathetic anxiety storm and back to a more calm, relaxed, and regulated life.